Welcome to another episode of TalkAlot with TokeAlot. TalkAlot with TokeAlot is a cannabis-positive podcast. We aim to educate the masses on the misinformation spread by society and mainstream media. If you are going to consume, please do so safely and within your state's laws and regulations. Thank you. Welcome back to another episode of TalkAlot with TokeAlot. I am your hostess with the mostest that always gets the stonedest, TerrieTokeAlot. So, last week was a Token True Crime Week. I hope you all really enjoyed last week's episode. If you haven't already, you can go stream last week's episode and previous episodes of TalkAlot with TokeAlot on this Spotify channel here, or you can go over to our YouTube channel where the first episode of Token True Crime is already up for you guys to watch, and it also has some information and some pictures in there as well, so feel free to do that at your leisure. Any hoozles. So today's episode is honestly one that I was a little apprehensive to do. I feel like religion is one of those topics that, you know what they say, you don't talk about, like, 3 things at the dinner table or with your coworkers, or, like, there's this rule about, like, there being 3 things you don't talk about. 1 is, like, money, 2 is, like, the government, and 3 is religion. So, being the type of person that I am, I've always kind of, like, shied away from that just because I'm like, I don't want to rock the boat. But I'm here to fucking talk my shit, so it is what it is. Some people like to stir the pot, some people like to smoke it. I want to do both. So, there's that. I do also want to note that if you celebrated Mother's Day this weekend, I just want to say I hope you had a phenomenal Mother's Day. I hope you got everything you wanted. I hope you got to fucking relax, because that's what I did for Mother's Day. I relaxed. Marilyn hung out with me, and then she went to her grandma's to see her grandma, and then I hung out with my Emma, with my boss lady, smoked with her, went and got some Starbies, did a live broadcast on the personal account for the IG for the podcast. Talked about some podcast stuff on there. Got really fucking ripped. Smoked a High State of Mind asteroid cone. So yeah, I did a couple dabs too. Like, it was a good Mother's Day. It was a good Mother's Day. I will say that. Very low key. Totally okay with that. I didn't need to do anything extra. I'm still healing my ankle, so, you know. And in case anybody is wondering, I didn't hurt, like, okay, I fell. I'm fine, I swear I am. Like, I just need to have my ankle wrapped up because it hurts. It's owies, so it is what it is. But I'm fine, I swear, guys, I'm fine, don't worry. But anyway, so, I think that's about all I have to say. I plan on updating the merch shop probably within the next couple of days, so make sure you're staying tuned for that. Token True Crime, next week's episode is going to be a doozy. We're covering the Who Killed Sister Kathy Sesnick case, or if you're familiar with Netflix documentaries, The Keepers. Really excited to cover that, because if you listened to last week's episode, you know I have a deep hatred for the Catholic Church. So yeah. That's going to be really fun, but otherwise, I'm going to stop rambling about bullshit and actually get into the reason that we're here today. Spirituality and cannabis. And if you are listening or watching on YouTube, please make sure you stay until the end of this episode, as I do have a generalized 3-card collective pull from my spirit guides for you. So yeah, just stay tuned. All right, here we go. Let's spark one and get into today's episode. So, spirituality and cannabis. Now, I want to first start this off by saying cannabis in and of itself, the plant that we all smoke, that we all partake in, is a female plant. I want to preface my entire podcast episode today by saying this. The cannabis that we all smoke is female. So, with that being said, cannabis is directly linked to the divine feminine energy. So, if you've heard the words divine feminine being thrown around a lot, whether it be on social media or like whatever the case may be, like the words get thrown around a lot. The divine feminine is essentially the embodiment of unconditional love. It is having patience and unlimited kindness and understanding. It is basically every wholesome feeling that a human being can experience in one energy. For a lot of people, that can be very daunting to be like, you have to be in your divine feminine energy and stuff like that. But honestly, I've been practicing it more and more every day. As much as I hate to admit it, I'm not as combative as I normally am, and living in that divine feminine energy honestly has saved me a lot of trouble, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I mean, I just don't, I cut out what no longer serves me and I leave it be. And it's phenomenal. I love it. So if you're a woman, or fuck it, even if you're a man, whatever you identify as, try living in that divine feminine energy, and I can promise you, your life will probably get significantly easier after a while. It might be hard at first, because it definitely was hard for me to not like want to fucking argue with everybody and like be all like aggressive and combative and stuff, but right now it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. So I'm vibing over here. So if you're like me and you're spiritual and you know of the divine feminine spirit, and you also partake in cannabis, and now you also know that all cannabis plants that we partake in, that we smoke, that we press, that we grow, I mean, obviously people grow male cannabis plants, and that's for breeding. However, nobody is smoking male cannabis plants. Nobody is using male cannabis plants really to medicate, to heighten their spiritual experience, what have you. So just tuck that in your mind for the remainder of the episode. I mean, and when you think about it, in all actuality, being in the divine feminine is being nurturing and caring and I guess I would say like being in the divine feminine is also being a provider as well, a provider of nurturing, a provider of tenderness. Like when you're in your divine feminine, you are in a caring era. You're in your soft girl era, as I said earlier. So obviously, with that being said, cannabis also is a rather like sustainable and nurturing plant. I mean, if you think about it, we can make clothes from hemp, we can make paper, there are so many different things that we can use cannabis for, and we just kind of like ignore it just because of consumerism and capitalism. So that's another point that I'd like to make as well, that this is like literally if I had like a whiteboard with some yarn and some pictures, like I would be able to tie this story together very nicely and show to you why I personally believe that cannabis is, the way that cannabis is treated now is also very similar to the oppression of women in today's society and in society before us. Just to give you guys a little understanding by what I mean on when I say cannabis and women are treated very much the same, let's put it like this. Women are always made to feel like it's their fault for things happening. Perfect example. When a woman is raped or sexually assaulted, usually there are more than enough people, more than there should be. There are people that go up to this woman and be like, oh, what are you wearing? What were you wearing? What did you do? Were you flirting with this guy? Were you drunk? It always falls back on the woman for her being too receptive to that person's behavior or what have you. So think about that. Now let's also put it in the fact of like, people think that the drug is the problem, but it's not. First of all, cannabis is not a drug. People think cannabis is the problem and it leads to all of these other drugs, when in reality it's not that. It's those people already having an addictive mindset and already having that predisposition in their DNA to do other drugs. And I only say this as somebody who comes from a line of addicts, And I've never had the inclination to do any drug. I've only ever wanted to smoke cannabis and take part in psychedelics. That's it. And that's all I've ever done till this day. So when people ask women, you know, when they're sexually assaulted, oh, well, what were you wearing? What did you say? What did you do? Did you say no? Did you like, that immediately to me, when I think about cannabis in the same thought process, it's like, oh, this person was a drug dealer. They must have smoked weed beforehand. Like, all roads lead back to them being a cannabis smoker at some point or another. Like, and just from my personal experience, like, I mean, do these people partake in cannabis? Yes, absolutely. But is that what got them started in hard drugs? No, it is not. So, just because I wanted to give you guys a little bit of fun facts about cannabis and old-timey religion, you know, the lost ages. In the Middle Ages, in Europe, pagans used cannabis, but Pope Innocent actually banned the plant during this time. A lot of pagans were using cannabis for rituals, and they were using it to open their third eye in combination with crystals and other herbs. So I definitely thought that was really fucking cool, as I identify with a lot of the pagan beliefs. However, like, I just was like, damn, like, even already, like, people were banning the plant because they're like, they like it too much. It's making them too happy. Stop. Dating back to Norse mythology, Freya, the goddess of fertility, is said to have lived in cannabis plants, and to consume said plant is to consume the divine feminine, and you are going to become more one with yourself and the divine feminine. So yeah, I definitely, like, again, this is another thing where, like, I had already made this inference from my years of cannabis use, and also using cannabis during meditation and during my spiritual times of, like, exploration. I already kind of made that inference that cannabis was something that was going to help enrich my experience spiritually, and also with the divine feminine inside of me. A lot of people also don't know, but cannabis was definitely traded into ancient Greece through Asia, so that's cool. And it's rumored that the Oracle of Delphi was actually stoned when she went into a trance and received prophecies from Apollo. So, if you're a God of War fan, like, that's pretty fucking cool. If you're a Greek mythology fan, I was super excited to figure that out. I'm like, yes. Not only were the ancient Greeks kinky, man, they fucking got fucking wrapped. I tried to say wrapped and ripped at the same time. Wrapped. Reptar! Wow. Okay, anyway. Yeah, so, continuing. So, as far as cannabis and my spiritual journey, we're gonna light this joint back up because you know what? No, we're gonna take it down. We're gonna take it down while I talk about my spiritual journey. So, just a little bit of backstory for you guys. I come from a Catholic family. Ooh, excuse me. Now, I will say this, my family is not, like, devout Catholics, like, we're not fucking going to church every Sunday, but my mom and my dad both believe in God, and they both were raised in Catholic families, and their families were very Catholic for the most part. I mean, they at least, like, went to church regularly and all that. So, for us growing up, it was a little different. My parents never really pushed a religion on us one way or the other. My parents kind of just let us, like, do our own thing and decide what our religious path was going to be when we were able to make that choice for ourselves. Just a quick little note. Concentrate from High State of Mind. Got some Orange Crush over here. It's definitely been my favorite out of the new concentrates that have been released recently. But yeah. Got my fire glass out. Shout out to, my voice is cracking. I've been doing a lot of fucking talking this week. But got my fire glass out. Got my cleaning supplies from Mad Hatter's Hideaway. Got my concentrate from High State of Mind. Got my torch. Okay. So, really quick, take this dab and let's talk about my spiritual journey, I guess. since I said I would do that. As you all know, High State of Mind, Fireglass, and Mad Hatter's Hideaway are all sponsors of TalkAlot. If you want to find out any information on any of my sponsors, you can always click the link in my bio on my Instagram and also on the podcast page and on YouTube as well. So there you go. There's that. Cheers. Good soup. Okay. So, my spiritual journey. I kind of always knew that I leaned more towards like a witchy side of things, I guess you could say. Like, I was always really interested in crystals and rocks, and I always wanted to be outside and play in the dirt. I was always making potions, and my mom always got mad at me because, like, I would go in the bathroom and I would empty out, like, all of the fucking conditioner and the shampoo and the body wash. I'd be like, I made a potion. Marilyn hasn't hit me with that yet, thankfully. But I will say when I was about like maybe 12 or 13 was when I really started to get intrigued and like start to explore myself. Wow, Jesus Christ. That dab broke my brain. But around 13 was when I really got to, like, explore for myself and kind of figure out what my idea of religion was. And eventually I kind of landed on being what you would call eclectic, meaning, like, I have many thoughts and theories on religion, but for the most part, I just kind of, like, go with my gut. My divination practice, preferably, is tarot or oracle cards. Sometimes I might use a crystal pendulum, or sometimes I can even, do what's called auditory divination, which is channeling a message through songs. I will say I tend to like do that a lot, and like there's a lot of times where like I'll be thinking of a song and it'll come on the radio or it'll come on my rotation on Spotify or what have you, or like a song will play and like in that moment it perfectly syncs up and matches with what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking or like whatever, and it's like I've subconsciously manifested the song playing. So if you ever have moments like that where you do things like that, just know that that's you being in touch with your spiritual side, with your third eye, and your divine feminine or masculine, depending on how you identify. Now, when it comes to cannabis and my spiritual journey, I started my spiritual journey before I started consuming cannabis, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Because in reality, I started smoking, like, medicinally when I was, like, 16, 17, but I've been practicing my, like, different parts of my religion since I was about, like, 12 or 13. So it's been a while. Like, so yeah. I mean, I will also say ever since, like, I started partaking in cannabis and also doing my spiritual work and my meditations and whatnot, definitely notice a difference. And a lot of people really don't understand how much of a part cannabis does take in my spiritual journey, but it does take a bigger part than a lot of people think. So I use cannabis in a similar way that modern day and ancient yogis do to open my third eye and become more receptive to messages from my spirit guides. Cannabis already, you should all know, is a phenomenal tool for meditation or astral projection. I really like to, like, put on some, like like just like 100 and what was it, 80 beats per minute music, like just instrumentals or like relaxing meditation music, smoke like a joint or a bowl or what have you. I definitely feel like going the most natural route is definitely like the best way to go when you're using cannabis spiritually. But when I partake versus when I don't, and I meditate or I try to astral project or what have you, you can very much notice the differences in how easy it is to connect when you are partaking in cannabis versus when you're not partaking in cannabis. Because as we all know, a lot of people partake in cannabis just because it's a mind clearer. You know, it mellows you out, it chills you out, it makes you able to kind of just like tap your brain off for a little bit and just kind of like be and exist. And that's part of what meditation and like being in touch with your spiritual self is all about. If you didn't know this, cannabis smoke also can be used as a spiritual cleanser. So if you're sitting in your apartment and you're smoking, like I am right now because I'm about to light this joint, if you're sitting in your apartment and you're smoking, or your house and you're smoking, and you're doing it with intention, you can also use cannabis as a powerful cleanser. I do this frequently. I do a lot of what I would call smoking with intent, and I'll get more into that in a minute. But as far as cannabis cleansing goes, I really love to use, like, for example, right before I do a reading, I like sit down, I put my candles out, I light my incense, I cleanse, you know, I like really just start getting into that zone. And then when I light my joint, or when I'm rolling my joint, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, this joint is going to further my spiritual journey. This joint is going to heal me, mind, body, and soul. I'm putting that intent into my cannabis, and I'm also putting that intent into when I am exhaling my smoke. I'm like, yes, this is the negative energy leaving my body. So I feel like also if you are treating cannabis more like that as well, not just like to get stoned, but you're treating it more of like a spiritual journey, you receive more from the plant, because that is truly how the plant. That's how the plant was intended to be enjoyed. So when I'm cleansing my house, like if I'm doing a regular monthly cleanse like I normally do, I open up the windows in my house and I use a mixture of cannabis, sage, lavender, and rose. I use that to cleanse my altar, my apartment, like the whole nine. And it works really well. I can always post my cleansing ingredients for you guys if you guys would like to partake in that and, you know, have some essentially all of those are bringing in, you know, peace and just like softness. Like that's the type of energy that I want in my home. Peace, softness, comfortability, oneness with yourself and with spirit, etc. So that's why I burn the herbs and the flowers that I do, because that way I am welcoming that energy into my home. So I feel like everybody who smokes cannabis, everybody who partakes in cannabis, eats it, whatever your shtick is, everybody knows that it's a very positive plant, and it brings a positive, happy, just like a great vibe wherever it goes. And it nurtures us, it provides for us. Maybe that's why we're all so drawn to it. I mean, that's the way I see it. Like, we're already hardwired to have this, like, in our body, or our body is already hardwired to ingest this plant, and we're told it's outlawed and it's illegal and it's bad and all this. But all the evidence is right here saying that it literally only benefits us by us using it, whether it be using it for clothes or sustainable fuel, or whether we're using it in a spiritual sense or a medical sense, what have you. Everyone on this planet, and the planet itself benefits from cannabis. I'll be really honest, I don't know if I'm gonna pronunciate this word correctly. I'm stoned already, guys. Fuck. It's too okay. Just for reference, it is 8:54 in the morning on Monday when I'm recording this. I'm already ripped. Fuck. God damn it. So, anyway, entheogen is a chemical substance used in a religious or spiritual context. Now, cannabis has been used as a spiritual aid as early as 2000 BCE. So it's not like this. It's not like I'm on about something that is like just being recently found out. Like, people already knew about this. All of the best shamans and the best medicine workers and all of them already knew the benefits of cannabis, and it was just modern society and colonization and everything else in between that changed how the plant was seen. Wow. Saw seen. Christ almighty, Terry. So, cannabis was also used, spicy. Cannabis was also used as an aphrodisiac. Ooh. That's kinky. That's spicy. Yeah, I'm a kid. I can't, yeah. I don't have to get into it, and I'm not gonna get into it because this is not this is a rated R episode, as all episodes of TalkAlot with TokeAlot are. However, y'all can't tell me high sex is depending on who it's with, because I've had some really bad high sex, but like, that shit hits when it's right. Shit hits when it's right. It's just perfect. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, a lot of cultures used it as an aphrodisiac, which is kind of like duh. I mean, there are a lot of plants that are, a lot of strains that are really good for arousal and things of that nature. So yeah. In Indian culture, in the past and even present day, many devotionals happen where everyone partakes in cannabis, and that means like literally everyone who's of age anyway. And there are three main ways to consume in Indian culture. So bhang usually is like a tea or a beverage made from fan and water leaves of cannabis plants. Ganja, that's kind of self-explanatory. Everybody knows what ganja is. That's the actual like act of smoking bud. So growing a plant, trimming, drying, smoking the buds that come off of it. And then hashish, a pressed flower that's usually like vaporized. So this is very akin to like doing dabs like we do here on the podcast, or like smoking a hash bowl, like bubble hash, like things like that. That would be how typically in Indian culture in the past and now, currently, how cannabis is ingested, how they partake in cannabis use, etc. I definitely think it's really crazy that like in India it is like cannabis use is completely normalized. I won't say completely normalized, because I really don't know that it's completely normalized, but from my research, it looks like it's very, very, very normalized and mainstreamed for the most part, just because of the religious like tie-ins with it. So I think that's really cool. So a lot of people don't realize that you can also kind of like medicate based on like your star sign, your astrological signs. For me, I'm a Scorpio sun and a Scorpio moon, and my rising is a Sag. So Scorpio is a very like it's a sign that makes people change. It's a very regenerative sign. It's a sign that constantly makes people see that other side of themselves and makes them strive to be better. I've noticed this a lot in my personal life. I do tend to have this quality where I get close with people, I realize red flags or something like that, and then I point them out, and then they do a switch, and then I get dropped. Like, that's just kind of how it works for me. So, it is what it is. I'm totally cool with that. I've come to terms with the fact that my place in this world is to help people level up to their next spiritual level, and that's totally cool. I'm happy for that, like, part of my life, because that shows me that I've done the work spiritually to be able to help other people get to the next level. So, as I said, I'm a Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon, and a Sag rising, so, like, I generally reach for, like, really powerful indicas with terps like mycin and linalool, which helps like just kind of bring down that feeling of constantly having to push people to be better, which is, I feel like, a a feeling that a lot of Scorpios resonate with. At least Scorpios with a sun and moon placement, or, I mean, even, honestly, definitely a Scorpio moon placement. If you have a Scorpio moon placement, you probably, you really probably, hate the fact that, every time that, you get close to somebody, you push them towards this next level of their life, or their level up, and then it's like, where'd you go? Where you at, though? So, if you're a Scorpio and you feel that, just, let me know. Let me know. Shoot me a message. Put it in the, I don't know, man. We're not alone. We're not alone. We out here. We out here. But Mycerin and Little Wool also happen to be really great terps for therapeutic purposes. So, that's actually also what I use to treat my endometriosis. So, definitely, those terpene profiles are already helpful for me physically, already helpful for me mentally. It quells my anxiety. It kind of just brings me down to that, chill level. And then spiritually, it helps me relax enough to be able to really connect with my third eye and really be open and receptive to the messages that I'm getting from my spirit guides. And also, just a fun fact, I'd like to point this out, Linalool, or however the fuck you say it, because we had this problem the last time that I did a terpene episode. So if you want to listen to me fuck up more terpene pronunciations, go to episode, or season 1 of TalkAlot with TokeAlot and find the terps episode. Yeah, that one's funny. Just because I literally, I struggled that whole episode to fucking pronunciate terps. It was awful. But, Linalool is also the same terpene that is found in lavender. What does lavender do, guys? It relaxes you. So, I'd just like to point that out. I am going to set up another dab just because I feel like I haven't taken enough dabs this season. I mean, granted, we're only 4 episodes in, but I feel like I haven't taken enough dabs this season. Let's see how we're going to go. I don't know what strain this is. All I know is it tasted good, so jot that down. Again, high state of mind on the concentrate. I did switch out my rig now, so now we're using my Heady Glass rig from Mad Hatter's Hideaway. I've got my Beach Paracord tool, boop-a-doop-a-doop. Don't ask me why I just made Betty Boop noises. That's beside me. I have no clue. Alright. There we go. So, I think that about does it for today's episode. I didn't want it to be too lengthy, just because last week's episode was long as a bitch. And next week's episode is probably going to be long as a bitch, too. So, I just kind of wanted to come on here and do a little funs episode with you guys. So, let me take this dab really quick. Pardon me. Good soup. Reheat it one more time. Delicious. So tasty. Shout out High State of Mind, Boss Man, Mad Hatter's Hideaway. Yeah. I think that about does it for today's episode. I said this already earlier in the episode, however, I'll say it again. If you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure you stay tuned until the end of the episode for a special 3-card collective pull for you guys. I went ahead and showed you guys my process of pulling cards really quick and how I shuffle and stuff. So if you are interested in that, stay tuned until the very end. However, if you're listening on Spotify, that about does it for today's episode. I'm ripped and I gotta go work at Hatter's. So, yeah. Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Keep blazing, stay amazing. Tune in next week where Boss Lady and I are going to be on episode 2 of Token True Crime, and we are going to discuss the Sister Kathy Sesnick case, aka The Keepers, from Netflix. It's a phenomenal documentary. If you haven't watched it, I highly suggest you do so. Or do some research on the case. Either way, both really fucking interesting. But yeah, that about does it for me. I've been your hostess with the mostest that always gets the stonedest, TerrieTokeAlot. Keep blazing, stay amazing. I love you guys. Bye. This episode, I'm really excited to record it. My meditation music just stopped. That's weird. So I really quickly just wanted, since I had everything out and I just gave myself a really crazy reading, that really resonated really deeply with me, deeper than I thought it would. And that's what I get for questioning my spiritual gifts. But I wanted to really quickly just do a little card pull, a quick three card pull for you guys, just for my followers, and just connect to the energy. As you guys see, I shuffle. Whoa, hello, you tried to stay out of here, silly. As you guys see, I shuffle my cards really kind of all over the place. I'm also not like a lot of tarot card readers. I don't always necessarily go off of, I guess we'll say, the general meaning of the minor and major arcanas. I go based off of just the vibe from the generalized reading. However, for this instance in particular, I'm just going to connect and go with what Spirit tells me. So, all right. Let's just see what flies out. Oh, okay. All right. So, for my collective, so first and foremost, we have Judgment that popped out, and now most tarot readers will do like, let's say for example, if a card lands like this, which means upside down, that means that that's going to give you the opposite meaning, whereas if it lands sideways, it's kind of like meh. That's usually applied in love readings. For the most part, when it comes to generalized readings, I like to take everything right side up, just as, like, I will flip it just as is, just because generalized readings are a little too vague. So there goes my meditation music again. That's creepy. Highly low. Anyway, so Judgment. At face value of the card says, decisions pending finality, the only decision that can be made under the circumstances. So this basically means that a lot of you guys are going to be going through a difficult kind of decision where you're going to be placed and, you know, saying like this side or this side, potato, potato. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So Two of Swords, again, confirming this, another really tough decision card. A lot of you are going to be feeling pulled towards two. As you can see, this woman has two swords in her hand. However, she is blindfolded. For me, I interpret this as basically having your two decisions, having your two pathways, and just not knowing about the outcome, not knowing what you're going into, being blindfolded, having no choice. And then literally right here, peace and harmony, needing to take the blindfold off. So you need to take the blindfold off, and you need to assess both situations and both paths. And the final card that popped out, the World. Now, the World is an abundance card for most tarot card readers, and it means that, like, you know, the world is your oyster. And right here on the bottom of the card itself, it says overseas trips, money, luck, world in the palm of your hand, new opportunities. So I would take this as you're going to be faced with a decision, but by taking your blindfold off and making this decision, you are going to have the world in the palm of your hands. You just need to really assess your situation. And yeah, I would definitely say look at things from all angles. Don't close off your mind, and definitely don't close off your heart either. Lots of 2s in this reading. 20 on Judgment, 2 on the 2 of Swords, and then 21 on the World. So that's just, 222, if that's a number that's significant for you. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Yeah. So that concludes our first community pull for TalkAlot with TokeAlot. So yeah, it's super exciting. Maybe next time I'll use my Nightmare Before Christmas deck. So I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna go to bed. I love you guys. Keep blazing. Stay amazing. Bye.